beautiful people. I hope you are all doing well. So, I just finished talking for so long about so many things concerning. God, guys, I deleted my video. It's my own hands. It's my own hands. Hi, guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bella, and I'm a life and style blogger. And today we are going to be talking once again about house. We are going to be talking about house. A house is something with 4 walls and a roof and a door, hopefully some windows, where you live. You have a lot of experiences in said house, so it is important that when you are looking for a house, you are very specific to a certain degree about what you want, what you can handle and what you cannot handle. But much like in marriage and in other aspects of life, there will definitely have to be some compromises. In this series, I will be taking you guys through my experience so far. I'll do my best to include snippets, but this will mostly be just me sharing tips and tricks. Maybe if things happen, some stories attached to it, but of what to look out for when you are trying to move to somewhere. I feel like as Nigerian women, most especially, even guys to be honest, we are not oftentimes privy to the experience of moving until you get to a certain point in your life where you're either financially stable and free of any emotional blackmail from your family members. So meaning you can actually live your own life by yourself as an adult, or you're getting married. Most of us choose the latter because it's just less stress and it's, I guess, the more acceptable way to leave your family house. So in that regard, I feel like there's a lot of things that a lot of us don't really think about when trying to choose somewhere to live or trying to look for somewhere to live. Now, a lot of things that will be shared in this process will be based on Abuja because I live in Abuja and I'm planning to live in Abuja for the foreseeable future. So my experiences are almost exclusively tied to where I am. Let us first kind of break down what it is that would be my ideal situation of where I would like to live. So I want to say in no particular order because all these things that I'm saying, the first set of things I'll say are the needs, and then the second set of things I'll say are the wants. So the first need for me is to be in a secure environment. For me, a secure environment is represented, at least in my mind or at least mentally, by somewhere where there are other people around. So there's a safety aspect, safety in numbers. Whether or not that actually makes you secure is a whole other conversation for another video and another person. It's not me that can give you the answer to that. So it's important to me that we are in some kind of estate where we have neighbors, people that check on you and notice when you are not around. So I cannot consider, at least for the life of me, I can't consider being in a space by myself, like a house that just has its own gates and stuff like that. At least not at this point in time in life. It's just not something that I'm considering. The second thing for me is ease of accessibility. It is so important to me to be able to access. You guys know, well, if you're new here you don't know, but I deal or experience anxiety on a regular basis, and it is made more difficult by things like driving. And that means that for the most part, unless I absolutely have to drive, meaning there's nobody that can possibly drive me, I don't have money to spend on like Uber or Bolt or anything like that, the likelihood is that I will not drive. I would like to say that an important thing, a need for me, is somewhere that I can access easily without the fear and the anxiety that is attached to me being on the road. So somewhere that it is easy to drive to, somewhere that I don't have to fight too much with other people on the road or interact too personally with other people on the road to get home and to get to my peace. With that same ease of access, I can access markets. I need to be able to access markets and access schools. So it should not be so deep out of town that I cannot drive to school, to drop and pick up my child. I cannot drive to the market to buy things or get a lift to the market. Like, do you get what I'm saying? I'm sure you can understand what I'm saying. Okay, with ease of access comes, like, geographically speaking, let it be on Google Maps, like, or let there be some landmarks near it that are on Google Maps, because I need to be able to find my house. One, I need to be able to give people information that can lead them to my house without stress or strain. I would say that it is important to me, alongside with the whole security thing, that the general area of where I live has street lights. Once again, this is a security thing. Obviously, it's only God that protects at the end of the day, but when I think of street lights, I think of, okay, you can drive home in the night in peace without turning to one side and entering ditch. You can also, to a very large extent, see the things that are going on the streets. Like, people, when there are lights, people are active, so everybody is alert. Now, for the house itself, it is important to me that there's a semblance of space. So it might not be, oh, it has so many rooms, as much as it is airy. Like, my mental health requires, once again, for there to be a breathability to that space. If I need to take time to myself away from Deji and his daughter, I want to be able to do that, even if it's just, the kitchen is a little bit farther away from the living room, and like maybe there's a boys' quarters, or there's not a boys' quarters, but like there's 2 rooms, or there's 3 rooms, or there's 100 rooms. But it's important to me to have a personal space. It helps me to go back to ground zero when I'm overwhelmed. Yes, and I think it's important for other people to have their personal space as well. So that is a need. Another thing that is an important need for me is having some kind of space for me and children to roam. I grew up in an estate, actually, for the most part of my memory. I grew up in an estate where we were able to ride bicycles. The gate was closed, so children could not just leave the gate. Like, we didn't have a backyard or anything like that, but at least we could go outside, walk around and stuff like that. That's really important to me, because I don't want to be feeling confined in the space that I'm in. I don't feel like once I leave my door, I have to be going somewhere. Like, sometimes, it's just been nice to be able to move around. This doesn't even have to be inside the compound per se. It can just be like the surrounding areas are habitable, so you can walk around with peace of mind. You can walk to the end of the road and stuff like that. But to be honest, I feel like parking can be navigated, really. I think parking can be maneuvered. So it would be nice. That's more like a want than a need. So as far as wants, it would be nice if there's no, for example, if my need of a backyard type thing, or somewhere where people can just move around, is not met, it would be nice to have some kind of balcony that I can sit on. So maybe be on the first floor or whatever. It would be nice to have some kind of some startup amenities. So if they have a general, because I've already said my need is an estate, if the estate has some kind of overall generator system, overall security system, that kind of thing, all those amenities, if the estate already has them, that would be amazing. That would be so amazing for me. Cool. So those are the things that I am looking for in a home so far. And we've actually been searching for coming up to a month now. And we've learned so much along the way. A really good example, which I'll probably talk about in the next video, is we found somewhere. It was definitely a fixer-upper. It had a lot of potential because it was kind of affordable and had a lot of space. But then the back of your house is the front of somebody else's house, so there's no real demarcation. You don't have a back area to hang your clothes, or to even just say you just want to sit down on the back of your house and just sit down and put your legs outside. And it was also near one of those transmission lines, which now I've been made to understand that the transmission lines themselves don't exude any emissions or anything like that, but the mass do. So that's another thing to look out for, is try your best not to live close to places that have, those power lines. Try your best not to live near if you can afford it, just because the overall health benefits of staying away from anything that could potentially cause radiation cannot be understated. In our parents' generation, I don't know if it's the food that they were eating or stuff like that, but at that point in time, they were less susceptible to like things like cancer and etc. But in the world that we live in now, be it because of the fact that we expose ourselves to microwaves and everything that could potentially bring radiation, it's just, there is a reason why the places that don't have power lines end up being more expensive. And I feel like it's important that you also do your research based on that, because exposing yourself to certain things, yes, it's kind of two-sided, it's twofold, in that there are some scientists that say that, oh, depending on the amount, like if you're like setting meters away, you should be fine. But there are others that say, just in general, if you can avoid it, avoid it, because like there's no point in endangering yourself. So that's something that's really important as well. But yeah, so now that we have a breakdown of what is I'm looking for, I would really like to know, if you've already moved to your home or your current home, or like if you're not currently living with your parents, what were the things that you were looking out for me that has a child and a husband, what do you think I should look out for as well? And like, obviously, I have to go based on what I can afford. But in the grand scheme of things, these are the things that's, like I said, in an ideal world, I'm looking out for. So let me know what else you think I should be looking out for during this process, because I have a feeling that, by God's grace, it won't, knock on wood, but I have a feeling that it will probably last for another month or even two. By God's grace, it doesn't, because if we get somewhere that requires some kind of fixing up, be it painting and etc., I would also like those things to be done before we have to move in, before we get married. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for encouraging me. Thank you for, especially all the people that have been here since like my old channels and my old experiences and stuff like that. Thank you for being here to watch me grow. People in my house are now alive. Yes? Okay. And do not forget that you are sugar, you are spice, and you're bomb as your love first. Bye guys. Mwah.